Welcome to Kinky Knots Cafe, Proactive is the Way, where we provide you tools and resources to enhance your mind, body, and spirit. Get ready, folks. Let us nurture you from the inside out. Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes. Carl Jung. Hello, my friends. Today we are kicking off our season 2, episode 1 by highlighting our overarching theme for the year, principles, and introducing and conducting an overview of our featured book titled Principles by Ray Dalio. Principles are fundamental truths that serve as the foundations for behavior that gets you what you want out of life. They can be applied again and again in similar situations to help you achieve your goals. During Season 1, Episode 7, I introduced the concept of principles or standards. We will use these words interchangeably. I strongly encourage you to listen to that podcast as we spent time introducing the notion of principles and the importance of creating and leveraging them to help you navigate your life most effectively. So, why are principles so important? When you have set principles in life that you lean on while making decisions or taking a specific course of action, you will find that you can make more sound decisions quickly, be steadfast and unshakable when a challenge arises, have better control over your life design, and minimize excessive and unhealthy stress. Essentially, when you have a set of standards that you live by, you will be establishing an environment that will help you to effectively manage your overall health and wellness. Folks, you don't want to live without them. All successful people operate by principles that help them to be successful. As Ray shares in his book, without principles, we would be forced to react to all of the things that life throws at us individually, as if we were experiencing each of them for the first time. If we can learn to classify these situations into types and have good principles for dealing with them, we will make better decisions more quickly and have a better life as a result. Having a good set of principles is like having a good collection of recipes for success. But just like a recipe, we may have to make adjustments because the ingredients are not palatable. In life, what you choose to be successful at varies enormously. As a result, your principles will vary. During Season 1, Episode 7, Tiffany and I shared our principles. At first, I didn't think that I had any principles, but after a deeper introspection, it turned out that I did have principles, but I never thought about them enough to write them down and be consistent in leveraging them in making decisions. Some of the principles I highlighted were focusing on living in the present moment, however, never forgetting the past, making sure that I take care of myself first. Also, One of my principles was not dwelling on what I cannot control. Living in truth with a high regard of respect and love for self was another. Making sure not to get vested in the way others perceive me. And always making sure that I operate with faith over fear, doing the things that I love to do without living with a scarcity mindset. Because as I always share, there is enough. Now, while I had these principles, I will tell you now, I never wrote these down at all. These principles, I believe that they were just innate, and some did come about due to life circumstances. I believe, though, if I focused on being more intentional in writing my principles and practicing them in everything I did, allowing them to serve as my true north, I probably would not have ventured so far away from my path. So, this year, if you have not created principles or sat down to do a thorough introspection of your life principles, or maybe you have principles and you just want to enhance the ones that you've already established, we are here to equip you with tools, resources, guidance, advice, you name it, to continue on your journey to creating the best version of you. We will kick things off by introducing you to Ray Dalio and his book on principles. Who is Ray? Well, Ray started the investment company Bridgewater Associates out of his two-bedroom apartment when he was just 26 years old and built it over the next 42 years into what Fortune magazine assessed to be the fifth most important private company in the U.S. He did that by creating a unique culture in which he named an idea meritocracy, a methodology or value system based on radical truth, radical transparency, and believability weighted decision making that he believes most people in organizations can use to better achieve their own goals. He believes that his success isn't due to anything special about him. It is the result of principles he learned largely by making mistakes, and believes that we can benefit from what he learned. Oh, Ray, where were you when I was navigating my life, allowing the blind to lead the blind? I am sure if I had in my arsenal the pearls of wisdom that you dropped on me within this book, I would have made fewer mistakes and been much farther along in life. Perhaps I would have been a billionaire just like you. Fortunately for you, my listeners, my friends, today I created a podcast that stresses the importance of taking a more proactive approach to managing our lives. So listen up and take action now. You are in for a treat today, as Dalio wrote this book to pass along these principles in case you may find them valuable, and to learn now what you should consider to find success. All right, let's get into it. So, this book starts off with the ebb and flows of Ray's life over a 68-year period. I'm going to tell you right now, this book is lengthy. It's about 600 pages. So, what's the best way to approach it? This book what I recommend is that you start with part 1, which is his memoir. While I will not discuss his memoir in great detail, I strongly encourage you to start here, then dive into part 3, work principles, and wrap things up, having the icing on the cake. The only type of cake that I will eat is the type with my eyeballs. Part 2, life principles. I suggest this order as it really helps to set the tone for how he created his life principles. Also, if you have ever been interested in the financial industry, financial markets, or economics, he introduces you to some pearls of wisdom that will help you to understand his thought process in making investment decisions. And he introduces you to literature that his company produces called The Daily Observation, which provides the latest research on the forces shaping global economies and markets. I found him to be very direct and candid. His memoir and the work principles are a good read and full of wisdom that will help you within your life. This season, for purposes of our podcast today, we are going to focus on the 5 core principles in which he highlights within part 2 of his book, Principles. Core principle number 1. We are going to learn this season how to embrace reality and deal with it. This principle focuses on encouraging us to have a realistic and honest view of the world to make better decisions. Essentially being a hyper-realist, or one who is totally grounded in reality. One who dares to lean on the real truths of the world and not the antiquated and unrealistic values and systems designed to hinder progress. Those who lean in on this principle will learn to understand that everything evolves. Evolution is the greatest force in the universe that is permanent and drives everything. And if the laws of evolution are not adhered to, there will be a greater understanding that systems will die. Core principle number 2. We will learn about the 5-step process to get what we want out of life. Here, he discusses setting clear goals and finding satisfaction while on our journey. Even embracing failures and leveraging them as opportunities for growth and learning is a part of this process. It will be so important that we leverage this 5-step process to do what is necessary to push our goals through to results. Core principle number 3. We will learn how to be radically open-minded. Now, this principle is more about understanding the barriers that naturally exist within each one of us when it comes to making decisions. The 2 biggest barriers to good decision making are our ego and blind spots. Together, they make it difficult for us to objectively see what is true about ourselves and life circumstances, and as such hinders our capabilities to make good decisions and leverage each other effectively. We will discuss the why these barriers exist and how to adjust our behavior to be happier, more effective, and establish better relationships with each other. Core principle number 4. We are going to learn how to make decisions effectively by leveraging universal truths and rules for decision making, such as learning how to simplify and synthesize information, leverage our principles, and engage credible people who are willing to have thoughtful disagreements. Core principle number 5. We will learn to understand that people are wired differently. This principle is all about discovering how our brain works, whether that is through psychometric testing or deep psychological evaluations. It is important to recognize and leverage this information to determine the strengths and weaknesses of ourselves and others to get the best result out of our relationships. Hopefully, you have found value in this overview of Ray Dalio's life principles. These principles are designed to help us lead more successful and meaningful lives by promoting self-awareness, open communication, adaptability, and a commitment to personal growth. During this season, we are going to dive into each of these core principles and present you with supplemental materials to support or challenge our thought process. In addition, I will incorporate other principles in which I have found that I know will be beneficial for you to consider and possibly incorporate it or a version of it within your life. Join us in 2 weeks when Tiffany joins us to continue our discussions on principles. In preparation for our discussions, we have included in the description where you can pick up a copy of our featured book for the season, Principles by Ray Dalio. To access all replays or learn more about Kinky Knots Cafe's Proactive is the Way, please visit www.kinkyknotscafe.com. Proactive is the way, my friends. Take good care.